On November 28th, 2025, Andrei Kapustin, a lawyer who defended the rights of medical service consumers in criminal cases, tragically passed away at a clinic in Vladivostok. I believe it's essential to bring this case to each of you and not let it fade into obscurity, as often happens. This was a man who defended the interests of people in trouble. I consider myself one of those people. Let me remind you that I had 2 hair transplants in different countries using different techniques, and they ruined my aesthetic appearance. But as practice shows, now you should think not only about your aesthetics and how it will affect your quality of life, but also about how it can affect life itself. Today I want to tell you how I see all this. It's not without reason that I've been studying what happens in the hair transplant field day after day for 5 years. I try to warn you about many things I see from the outside. I don't represent the interests of any clinic or any doctor. I represent the interests of myself and those clients who, like me, are looking for correct and complete information that is often hidden. I'll tell you, there's the sphere of medicine and there's the sphere of entrepreneurship and money, and when they merge, many moral principles fade into the background, and even what you should know as a client is hidden from you. I want to share my vision of this situation and warn you about what you should know as clients when you want to solve an emotional issue and rush to do it. Andrei Kapustin was a most talented lawyer who defended the interests of people like us. Some were deceived, some weren't, but he represented interests specifically in the field of aesthetics. He warned with his cases what to pay attention to and how to protect your interests. When I encountered this 5 years ago and just started my video blog, people reached out to me and I helped them. I said, "Oh, guys, unite. Here are the laws. Find a common lawyer." And when they found all this, they went to the clinic. At the clinic, they were offered money to buy them off from these cases, and they accepted this money. But what's wrong here? When they bought you off, you can't warn other people and future patients about the danger that the next people might face. This is a very important point. This most talented lawyer representing our interests knew all the laws. He knew what to pay attention to and what to consider. But we all have a very important emotional component. It seems to us that we can work for someone and give ourselves completely. But when it comes to ourselves, we sometimes think, "I'll be fine, nothing will happen to me." I'll say that men are more emotional than women, although it's believed to be the opposite. And we sometimes allow ourselves to give ourselves breaks, even if we're professionals in this field. We work for others much better than we work for ourselves. I can say this from my own example. 3 months ago, I had endolifting done. I trusted a doctor I know, a plastic surgeon specializing in rhinoplasty. She suggested endolifting. I did it and regretted it. I'll record a separate video about this. It turns out that for my clients and other people, I check everything more thoroughly than for myself. Because when I check for someone, I turn off emotionality. When I do it for myself, emotionality and empathy are turned on. It seems to me a similar situation happened with Andrei. I don't know all the details. I'm not personally acquainted with him, but it seems these moments also take place. What I broadcast from video to video, always be sure to turn off emotionality. Any of your procedures, not only aesthetic, but also medical. This is turning off emotions and cold calculation. This is how it should be at the moment. A criminal case has been opened, the investigation continues, and here's a super important point I want to tell you about. Anesthesia, what's currently known, possibly not local anesthesia was used, but general anesthesia. This is not the first time I've heard from clients who come to me for paid and free consultations. Oleg, is it possible to do it under general anesthesia? I know some clinics do this. This is marketing. When a clinic has nothing to show, it doesn't have its own specific and proper skills, they always try to press on your emotional pain points or on something that will make you come to one clinic or another. Doctors, individuals, don't press on these pain points. A clinic is packaging for making money from you. In this packaging, there may be doctors or there may be only medical staff who just finished their medical education. A clinic is marketing packaging. Always think about this. And here's anesthesia. I've seen clinics that offer general anesthesia instead of local anesthesia. Men are not women. Women always try to figure out any issue in more detail. Men are very emotional and sometimes superficial. We superficially enter the forest and then actually start fighting a lion. A woman takes steps more correctly and thoughtfully because she doesn't have the physical strength to enter the jungle. She thinks first, then acts. With men, it's all different. Not all, but this is a very important point. And when we men, with our high pain threshold, think that you can just inject general anesthesia, pass out, like with tattoos all over the body, and just wake up ready. We want simple solutions, but these are very big dangers to your health. As practice showed with Andrei Kapustin, you can't use what they offer you as a marketing solution. Someone says, we have the thinnest punch, and at the same time loses a huge number of your valuable donor hairs. And you won't even know about it. You get smaller gaps in the donor area, but you can't count how many were extracted and how many hairs actually grew. I've already seen many of these cases that come to me, and this deception is noticeable. Believe me, there's world practice. There are certain standards that must be followed. There's what someone wants to jump higher than others. So if they have nothing of their own to show, they need to invent something as if it's an advantage. And one of these advantages is general anesthesia. Hair transplants cannot be done under general anesthesia. General anesthesia is a dangerous marketing trap, and it can only be used in serious operations. I don't have a medical education. I analyze a lot of data and cases. I'll share. 3 years ago, for exactly the same reason, my close friend, unfortunately, also faced exactly the same tragedy. She went for plastic surgery to South Korea, and precisely because of anesthesia, exactly the same tragedy happened. There was also a huge scandal throughout Korea. Of course, all these businesses, and especially everything connected with clinics, this marketing wrapper, under which the essence is earning huge amounts of money, these are millions of dollars. If you think thousands of dollars are earned on hair transplants, and these are millions of dollars a month, and of course there's resonance, but this resonance will still stop because big money will lead to this scandal being hushed up. You understand? Yes, there will be noise in the media, and that's why I also want to support the family and say that if any informational support is needed so that this scandal isn't just crushed with money, if I'm not mistaken, Andrei's wife's name is Alina. I'll help you however I can. I want to tell everyone watching this video, please share this video or the news. I don't want this case to just be crushed like this, as if nothing happened. This is a serious violation. And I don't want these clinics with millions of dollars to just buy their way out of this. I'll post the checklist under the description of this video, probably in the first pinned comment. These are expert criteria that you need to pay attention to in order to analyze any clinic and any doctor. This is what I've been developing over the last few years, and I was even offered to sell this system for evaluating doctors and clinics. But I'll post a link to this checklist, which will help each of you planning a hair transplant, choosing your clinic, your doctor. Go through this checklist and understand how many points this or that clinic, this or that doctor will score. This, I'm sure, will help you make at least a comparative analysis among different doctors and clinics and make the right choice. Be sure to ask for the doctor's license. Keep in mind that in Russia, now the requirements for those who do hair transplants are quite vague, because hair transplantation in Russia is a very new field. There are doctors who have been working for many years. They may not be very famous, maybe you don't like them, but they have certain experience and certain requirements. There are various entrepreneurs, various upstarts. There are those who want to move from one field to hair transplantation because it's a more profitable business, and lack of experience. Specifically about licenses, please ask for licenses. In Russia, only plastic surgery doctors have the right to do hair transplants, not dermatovenereologists, specifically plastic surgeons. When you lie down on the table with any doctor in Russia, be sure to ask for a plastic surgeon's license. Everything else is generally not related to hair transplants and essentially illegal specialists who do transplants on you. I'll repeat again. In Russia, when you do a hair transplant, ask who specifically will do your hair transplant, because some clinic entrepreneurs operate like this. They use the license of one virtual doctor who doesn't do your hair transplant, but specifically the person who does the graft extraction and graft implantation must have a plastic surgeon's license. Treat yourself with respect and demand that you also be respected. If they tell you that everything is taken care of here, look at the general licenses. No, you must know who's doing the hair transplant and the doctor's license. Right before the hair transplant, come and look. If not, remember that you can refuse your operation at any time. Don't risk yourself, your health, and your life. This depends not only on your quality of life, but also on responsibility, not only to yourself, but, as practice shows, to your family. Please think about this. The next factor I've told you about many times. The doctor must have at least 5 to 7 years of practice. Why is this important? The doctor has one side. This is his practice. This is the trained hand of the hair transplant procedure itself. But many entrepreneurs don't consider another point. There's another side. These are the cases that doctors know how to handle. This is the experience they've already gained in various situations around hair transplantation. Hair transplantation is not just sticking in grafts, as many entrepreneurs think. I myself trained in hair transplantation. I know how to do it. I know how to extract grafts. I know how to plant grafts. I never do this and don't plan to do it because it's not enough to just technically do this task. You need to know all the areas of responsibility and areas of probability of what can happen regarding hair transplantation. This is very important. That's exactly why you need to choose doctors with 5 to 7 years of experience, specifically in hair transplantation. Not in some field, therapists, ENTs, and anyone who wants goes into hair transplantation because money can be made. No, this experience must be specifically in hair transplantation. You'll ask, where can they get this 5 to 7 years of experience? Here are questions for you yourselves. Are you ready to give your heads so they can train on you and get that same 5 to 7 year experience? Or do you still treat yourself more respectfully and don't want them to train on you, especially since there's no shortage of doctors now? An appeal to clinics. Clinics, your main task is making money. You can say anything in advertising, give interviews, talk about what big thoughts and ideas you have about this, about industry development or something else. Let's not hide the essence. The essence is that a clinic is always about making money. This is a union of people who want to make money. A doctor who wants to work will work without a clinic anyway if he's talented. People will come to him. This is how hair transplantation works. I'm not talking, of course, about doctors who transplant kidneys or hearts. No, their teams are very important, clinics and so on. My field, what I understand and deepen my knowledge in every year, this is specifically hair transplantation, hair treatment. In this field, each doctor is, as I always say, a fingerprint. This is his specific work. And if he does his work well, people will always come to him. Clinics, you make money, but at the same time, please respect us, the clients, and turn off your marketing department at least for some time. Study what's happening yourselves. And please don't deceive us with various manipulation methods that affect us and our pain points. I don't want pain, so I need to offer general anesthesia, or I'm afraid of white dots. I need to push into the head that you need to use a thin punch, among which you'll kill a bunch of my precious grafts and so on. Remember that karma exists. I believe that every person has karma, companies have karma, even countries have karma. You always have to pay for everything, and much more expensively. Karma credit payments are always much bigger. Andrei Kapustin, 32 years old. He defended our interests. Yes, I didn't know him personally, but having become acquainted with what Andrei did, I understood. He defended the interests of people, ordinary people. Someone faced problems. Someone he warned from facing these problems. You must understand that precisely such people who always do more for others than for themselves are very important people. And these are people you should value because they give you information and protect you. Although each of us, each of you, must also protect yourself from the problems you may face. Let this case save many other people who, I hope, won't fall into similar situations. It's precisely thanks to such people. Take care of yourself. Be responsible not only to yourself, but also understand that you're often responsible to your families and your circle. And any aesthetic procedure is not just an aesthetic procedure. This is medicine, no matter what anyone tells you. Take care of yourself.